Thank you, Sheena. Okay, welcome everybody. Happy Aloha Friday. Hopefully everybody had a great week. We only have one more month to the end of the second quarter, so this year's going by fast. Almost halfway done already. I can't believe it. So hopefully everybody's on track, hitting goals. But why don't we kick it off with our leads, needs, and good deeds? Anybody got anything? Anything they need, any leads that they have? Hi, Anne.
I have something I'm hiding from my toddler.
Okay.
Literally in his room. Hi, everyone. I wanted to shout out T for encouraging me. I closed on a duplex in Milwaukee, Wisconsin last week. It was kind of a unicorn situation. And it was almost too good to be true. And I called her and I said, I turned down this deal. And she was like, what are you doing? And then she talked me through it. And I said, I don't know what I was doing. And then now I own it. So thank you. I'm excited. I'm excited. Bringing everybody back down to, super beginner level. That's me. My first duplex. And hopefully my first entry into more multifamily. But it wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have made the phone call to her and said, this sounds too good to be true. And so here we are. So thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Right on. Congratulations, Anne.
Thanks.
Awesome. That's what it's all about right there. Anybody else got anything? All right. Well, I'm supposed to make an announcement, but Layla's not on here, so I don't want to misspeak because we're looking to partner with Habitat for Humanity, and which the NPLA has already done that with I think the branch out in Florida, but locally in Hawaii we were planning to partner with them, and so we're gonna open up doors to anybody that wants to join us as well. And I'll have more information probably maybe next week, and it'll probably consist of like maybe a day or two of working on the house. So hopefully I don't hurt myself out there, but hopefully it's just painting or something. But we do plan to partner with them with something coming up. So stay tuned, and we'll open the doors for anybody here on our calls to jump in, and if they want to help out. I think their cause is right along the same lines as our cause, right? So does anybody else have anything else? No deals on the line and need money? Justin's got money.
I got money. Definitely got money. We need to deploy and we need to build. So
yes, yeah, sir. Yes, sir. Well, okay. Well, if nobody has anything, then we can jump right in because we have our guest Justin Fordham here. He is been a friend of ours since maybe it's like 3 years, maybe now 3 years, right? You're a founding member, right?
3 years. No, I came right after COVID.
Okay.
3 years now.
So Justin and I sit on the membership committee as co-chairs for the NPLA. And so it's a perfect position. Him and I were talking about this earlier because we get to know everybody, right? Or that's kind of the mission. We should try to know everybody. So he and I, alongside Alex, are on the membership committee, and Kekoa is on the legislative committee with the NPLA. And the NPLA has been a kind of a huge asset for all of us, I feel. But for Justin, we wanted to bring him on board to talk a little bit about his story. He's actually at the forefront of some disruption in the construction industry, and I see it potentially as a very positive change to our space. But either way, it's coming, and it's the 3D printing, right, of construction of houses. So welcome, Justin. This is our kind of coffee talk family here. And I guess if you can start with your story, how did you get here?
Well, that's a long story, but I'll shorten it up and summarize it for everyone. So my name is Justin Fordham. I started in the real estate industry about 18 years ago. Started out as a title processor, worked my way up from title with Champion Mortgage to being a loan processor. From being a loan processor, I then, watched and monitored how everyone was making money. So the next step eventually was to become an investor. I became an investor and a realtor at the same time, and maximized my market like right before the pandemic had hit back in 2008. So I've been in a situation where I've been able to monitor the markets, and was fortunate enough to basically work with auction.com. And that put me in a situation where I was able to monitor things from a nationwide scale, as opposed to just locally. Like I would be able to tap into Hawaii's market and know what the foreclosures are looking like, what the sales are looking like. It just gave me a different, gave me a different lens on the real estate market as a whole. With working with auction.com, this was back right before right after the pandemic. I got a phone call from Matt Rosen, which was an MPLA member, founding member as well. And he said, hey, why don't you, come down and, come visit our show. And if you can you give us a little bit of insight as to, what's going on? And that was one of the best things that I've ever done, because that was at a point in time where the pandemic had hit. No one was moving any sales whatsoever. No one was lending whatsoever. Everything had just ceased. And I had never seen anything like that in my 18 years of real estate. So with going down to the Pitbull conference, I was able to, learn how money flows. I was able to learn the difference between the brokers, the lenders who actually had the money. I learned a lot. Not only did I learn a lot, I was able to formulate a lot of great relationships. Corey was one of the first guys that I had met, and he was super cool, super humble. And I just talked to him about, my upbringing in real estate, and he was very receptive. And I had talked to him and pitched him on an idea for 3D printing. And at first he was like, wait, okay, so what are you talking about? And then I had to, explain it to him. And afterwards, he pretty much got the concept. And as I told him before, he gave me a lot of confidence to step forward in an industry that is in its infancy, and it's not something that a lot of people know about. So with me, being an MPLA member, with me having the top people around me in that industry, and me bringing something forward, such as 3D printing to the industry, it gives me a different outlook from everyone else. I have people who are industry leaders. I'm bringing industry disrupting technology to the market, and I have their backing behind me. And I wouldn't be in the position that I am today without the relationships that I was able to cultivate throughout the MPLA. And I can't forget my boy Alex as well, and Kakoa. So it's a three-prong approach with those guys. But that's pretty much to surmise my real estate journey from where I started to where I'm at now.
Yeah, and I remember the first time you mentioned the 3D printing. Like, I just had so many questions. I didn't know it was kind of this close to being introduced to the market, and there's still a ways to go, right? To create adoption. Yeah. But it sounds like you've kind of you're fighting the battle, right? And jumping through the hoops that you need to go through, which is always the hardest when you're kind of one of the trailblazers, right? Like, yes. You have to pave that path.
I am literally Elon in it right now.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could say. He's been a good idol for me as of recently, because I'm in a space where I'm talking about something that no one's doing at all. You know what I mean? Oh, if they are, it's very, very few. So to be the first one out on that, not too many people want to be the first one out, but fortunately enough, there are some people in our industry who will be pushing this tech forward behind me.
Yeah. And I remember you saying that. It just seemed like a long road. Mm-hmm. But the reason why I admire you so much for this is because, like, that's not easy to do, especially there's a lot of bureaucracy. You have to now you're thrown into the political game and you have to try to satisfy everybody, right? The community alongside politicians and regulators. So that's what I know it wasn't easy for you to get to, you know, where you are now in the stage, and we'll get an update too of exactly where you are. So the fact that every time I see you, I kind of ask, hey, so what's going on with the 3D printing and stuff, and I get an update, I'm like, wow, this thing is going forward. So bravo to you, man. Keep charging ahead, and we'd like to hear more about the industry. So can you, I don't even know where to start, dude. I mean,
sure. Just ask any questions.
So can you start with just like, for people who don't really get it, like you see a printer in your home office, and you know, a printer prints out an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And when people say we're gonna print a house, you're like, that's just doesn't seem to quite fit the theology of what kind of norm goes through your brain for printing. So kind of explain that whole piece of what does it mean to print a house? Okay.
So yes, let me go on that, and then we will have slides and everything afterwards. So what I am saying when I'm saying I'm 3D printing a home using concrete, what I'm doing is that I'm using a machine that is going to lay out the lines of concrete down to your actual CAD, which will be your blueprint. So if, let's say, Corey's building a home, he gives me a 2,600 square foot home to build. I take that, I upload it into the GPUI, which is a system that actually would read that blueprint and map that to the computer. And the computer would from there onward, pretty much attach, well, I'd upload it to the, upload your prints to the computer itself. And it would actually print along that blueprint, and it would actually use and extrude out that concrete print. So what I'm doing is I'm building your walls after your foundation is already put in, and I'm building up a level or two, depending on the height of your home. So I'm using a machine to build your exterior and interior walls, which would typically take, let's say on average, the 2,600 square foot home would take about 400 hours just to lay brick. I can have those walls built for you within 29 to 40 hours.
And so this computer, as you picture a computer, it's like your laptop is kind of like the CPU, if you will, and it sends the directions to a device on the lot where the house is being built. And that device, like a concrete laying machine, is not manned by a person who's pouring it in, but this computer like just pours concrete in a certain direction based on the instructions from that computer.
Correct. So it's a robotic arm that would be essentially, yes, printing out that concrete alongside your build. I'm going to show you.
Yeah, we got to see this.
I think you just got to show us, because my head still is like, what? Then like, who digs the hole in the ground so you can stick the concrete? Sorry, our Hawaii minds sometimes, we're real simple. You know, we do shave ice, we wear slippers.
Can you guys see my screen?
Nope, not yet.
Nope, not yet.
Share. Hold on 1 second.
So one thing that I can see, now I'm tying a couple of things together where you started with auction at auction.com, right? And what did you do over there?
So I was an asset manager, and I actually was a foreclosure specialist as well. So I would be the guy that would typically go to the foreclosure property, and I would actually foreclose on your property, or I would go on the behalf of the bank to try to raise the price to explain why it shouldn't be sold at a lower value. So with doing that, it allowed me to develop relationships with the private lenders, because those were typically the guys who would come in and buy. So you guys like Ruben at Wheeland, like I know him and for years, and done lunch and learned with him. He's a super cool guy. He was one of the people who actually introduced me to the lending space as well. So I'm always
crushing it too.
Yeah, they're crushing it. He's been growing. I'm trying to get the the actual permission to show it, but Corey, if you can
Oh,
bring
you know
up
what? Sheena, can you
PDF
pass?
that I had sent you, I can
Actually,
go through it.
Yeah, maybe send it to me and I can
Sure.
share. I can share it. You gonna email
I
it?
think I already, yeah, I'd already emailed it to you.
Oh, you did?
and,
Okay,
Sheena
gotcha.
as well.
I'll get it.
You can bring it up on there and I can go through the whole slide. It's not allowing me to go through.
So what's funny is Ruben, I think they started out kind of like us. They were investors and they were wholesaling a lot, right? I think, and then I think that was his story. So that's probably when you met him, when they're buying. Were they buying?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
So like auction.com, we just had Darren Bloomquist on our MPLA call yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And he was talking about the market and trends, and there's so much data there that I'm sure that you also had access to that too, because you're saying nationwide now you can pull up any market and kind of get a sense for where that market is in its cycle. So I'm guessing too that you can utilize your relationships that you have there and the knowledge that you gain there about analyzing a market using data. So when you do get the full thumbs up to get the machine out there, then you can target the markets that are underserved, right? That need inventory at affordable rates, like Hawaii. I mean, like markets like Hawaii.
So here's the thing. So to go on to just to piggyback off of what you just said about them being on the call. So the information and the data, everybody has the same data. We have Adam, we have Black Knight, everybody all has access to the same data. So whether the Fed raises the rate or lowers the rate, we know we're going to have to pivot either way. I guess my question is, and a lot of young people in the space are like, okay, we have this data, but what do we do? We know that there's 6 million homes behind in inventory. So I didn't create a way. I went and I found a way to build a home quicker, more efficient than we did today. I mean, having 6 million homes behind in inventory is a good problem to have. If we are going into a recession, I mean, it's never a good thing for some, but some of those assets that weren't performing, they need to now be taken, off of that balance sheet and bought and put into a situation where it's now being, a reproducing asset where you're getting money from it. So, a lot of the data we all have the data, but I don't see anyone saying, what could we do or what are we doing? There's few people in the space that's saying that. So I think we just have right now, for some, just a paralysis of all the analysis that we have. We have conferences and we're talking about the same thing, but what are we doing to combat these problems? What are we bringing to the market to help to push that forward? That's where I'm stuck at. It's guys like yourself, guys like Alex, guys like what's that, Jason Harris over at Build Wallet, who's using Ethereum to run his real estate platform. There are a lot of new things and a lot of tools that are out there. And I just feel like, if we start getting out and we start doing those internet workings, in between our groups, that we can push, some of this to the forefront rather sooner than later.
Yeah, nice. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, I can see yours.
Is it your PowerPoint showing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Explain to us.
That's so cool. It's like a transformer.
Wait, so I see, you guys can see my screen now, or are we watching Corey's screen?
We're watching mine.
All right. So if I'm watching yours, so I'm going to just go through it on mine because I, for some reason, can't see yours, which is crazy. But I'll go through the first page. So that of what you see there on the first page, that's the actual printing machine. That is an arm that extrudes upwards up to 16 feet. It contracts down to 6 to 15. So you can print a wall upwards to 10 feet just with that one machine alone and not have to go any higher. If you were to go to the second page, Corey.
Yep. Partner profile.
Yes, sir. So, and then also too, so that, just to let you know, that building that you see that's being constructed, that was in Dubai. It's actually a 10,000 square foot building. And that was printed in a week in Dubai. That building was done so well that from 2030 onward, all of the buildings, I would say 2 stories or higher, or definitely 3 or higher, will be 3D printed in Dubai from 2030 onward.
So it can go 3 stories high.
Absolutely. There's another machine as well right now, Black Buffalo. I just talked to those guys. They have one as well that can print up to 4 stories. For this machine, you'd have to bring it up, every story that you go. But the other printer, which is a gantry printer, which is shaped like a box, that allows you to build floor to floor up to 4 stories.
Crazy. Okay, so how many machines are there in the world that you know of, if that's even knowable? And did you secure one already?
Yeah, so one is secured by me, and in terms of all of the others, there's a lot going around. The issue is just like with supply chain and everything, that was an issue with trying to get and meet today's demand. But with Apiscore, this company that I partnered with, they actually 3D print the machine that they use. So
What?
even the machine itself is 3D printed.
Whoa. Whoa, okay. So you don't even need manual labor to build the machine
No.
that builds the houses.
Yeah, similar to like, how we automated the loans.
Yeah.
If we take that same logic and simple approach, that's how we are automating construction. Let's say 2,500 square foot home, it'll be myself, 4 people, we can build it with a machine.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay. I can't wait to get into the economics of this thing, but okay. So I'm on page 2. Guide me through this.
Sure.
I'll go through the PowerPoint.
Sure. So VPG Construction, they are pretty much a partner of ours. They're going to be doing a lot of the construction in the Louisiana, Florida, Texas region. They're looking at doing about 400 units for their particular build. They have an MOU in place with us already for us to help us on that. Affordable housing is something that we are going to target, mainly because the housing prices are going up. So how do we build more efficiently, net a profit, and then but still sell at a cheaper rate is what we're looking at right now. So VPG is one of the construction companies that we're working with in the South to help to bring that to fruition. They will be within the Florida market with me as well. I will be in the Florida, Jersey, and Georgia markets. Texas is on its way as well. We can go to, if you can screen it out a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Why is it? All right.
So
And
this
then
company-
the next page will be the Lennar portion for the partner profile.
Okay. Are these houses built with 3D printing?
No, so those are the houses that they actually built within their respective neighborhoods, but they will be 3D printing the first quarter of this year once we receive the machines. Everyone who's in the first batch of orders will be receiving their machines the fourth quarter or first quarter of next year.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm on page 3.
Okay. So recently, this was about a month and a half ago, Lennar had come down to the corporate headquarters to pretty much have a look-see. They partnered with another group out in Texas, Icon, they've done and committed to about 200 units out there as well. But because there's a different style of printer that's being used, ours is a little bit more better and suitable for the types of builds that they're looking for. And that conversation went really well. So now we have 5,000 homes to print for Lennar within the next.
So you're going to contract with Lennar?
Yeah, so the company has a contract with Lennar, and that's to build 5,000 homes for them. They like the product so much. Lennar has about 76,000 homes to build, and they can't even keep up with demand for that, mainly because the worker shortage, and not too many people are, very well versed and have really stepped into the construction industry. Actually, a lot of people have left the construction industry post COVID. So
Yep.
finding, people to work that are competent, that know what they're doing, it's very hard. But it also puts us in another situation where we can retrain these people to do something else and more safer, in my opinion.
Well, so Lennar, I mean, that's huge because Lennar aren't they the #1 home builder in the nation?
Yes. So they are, as well as the other one that's
Horton and stuff.
Yeah, there you go. And so Horton, he's around. They're interested in it as well. But Lennar was the one that signed with us, so we're doing 5,000 homes for them.
So, guys, well, real quick, so like Justin said, Lennar has 76,000 homes to build still. They're short manpower. Okay. We are 6 million-ish across, units short in inventory across the nation. Okay. Lennar is like the #1 home builder, and they still need to build 76,000. They're behind 76,000 homes. So how are we gonna solve this problem with affordability?
You have the supply chain issue for some of them as well. So a lot of these homes, they were looking into wood build. Now you don't even have to factor that in. I mean, in terms of wood, I only use maybe 10% of the wood that you would actually use to build a home outside of just the traditional roof that's going on top. So now they're able to build and control prices and hedge against inflation because they know exactly how much the walls are going to cost. The price isn't going to fluctuate. If they were to change in that, it's going to raise in other areas. So I mean, like Corey said, this is one of the biggest builders in the nation, and even they are looking to adopt and push it forward.
Well, congratulations for being a part of that. I know it's with Apis Core, right? But they're contracting with Lennar, and your machine, right? That you have.
Correct.
That's huge, Just. Congratulations, dude.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Guys, we have a true trailblazer on the call right now. I just want to say, I'm super proud to call you a friend, dude.
Yes, sir.
All right, yeah. So I'm on page 3 still. Current status.
Okay, so current status, we pretty much wrapped everything up with that. We will be starting to print for them next year. You'll start to see a lot of things over the summer in terms of literature pertaining to that. So a large part of that too, Corey, which put me in a good position over on the MPLA side. So those homes that are going to be built, I'd pretty much have first right of refusal to offer the mortgage for that. So I'm going to be, in control, like sort of like a broker for them to get them the deals and the loans that they need for the right prices. So
awesome, man.
Huge vertical integration right there. We love it.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Okay, so
third page, I think we should be going past this. Another one, we partnered with Checkers. We'll be building some of their locations nationwide as well. I don't have the specific number, but they are we are in contracts with them to build their new establishments nationwide. Nice.
Okay, so headquarters in Tampa, Checkers. I don't know if I've ever been to a Checkers.
So Checkers is a well, I mean, obviously you probably seen it on TV commercials, but yeah, it's like a dine-in, like a little
like a Sonic.
Sonic, McDonald's, if you will, that type of time. Small little thing, but in terms of nationwide and in their reach, they're very popular states, mainland wise, and having that contract to build their restaurants is fairly good, as they're looking to cut costs as everyone else as well. Not only the cutting cost time, it's actually the time. I can't tell you how many times I've driven past a building or something being built, and I see workers just not doing anything. You know what I mean? And that downtime costs an investor a lot of money. So if I come to an investor and I'm telling you, hey, Corey, listen, this house would be done in a week and a half. What else do we say if it's going to take the other investor 4 to 5 months to do it? And we're building to code. You won't see a machine standing idle unless we don't have enough concrete. But before we even order the concrete, the machine detects down to the actual millimeter exactly how much concrete we're actually going to need for it. So at that point, there's no overage. There's no extra concrete that we spent, you know, 5,000 to 6,000 that could be eaten into our profits, because we know exactly down to the T, you know, how much it's going to cost us to build this home. So I say BlackRock, they have the what is that, the Aladdin algorithm?
Yeah, yep,
So,
BlackRock.
Fordham Enterprises, we got the magic carpet over here.
Yeah, it's the magic carpet. Well,
so then, do you have anybody in the field, like standing on the lot watching the little you know, transformer guy at work, or he pretty
Absolutely. It'll be myself and like 4 other people. I partnered with a local builder over here in Jersey. So yeah, it'll be me, him, 4 other people. As it prints, we'll go in, drop in rebar as need be. As it's, you know, as the actual concrete is formulating, and it's, you know, taking its structure, we will go in and add our installation and everything from there. Plumbing and electrician will be ran and rough in while that's going on. And it's really, it's a 4 to 5 man weave, to be honest with you.
So they have steel framing machines out here, right? So they'll basically frame a house with steel. And I went to see the machine. They have to toggle the machine because it was spitting out the framing too quick. Somebody on the other hand has to grab the framing, you know. But they said one thing about the steel framing machine, which is, I mean, this is even more automated, you know, and precise. But with the steel framing is, you don't have mistakes either. It doesn't, it saves the guys time out there in the field to have to measure accurately and have to drill the hole for the rough accurately and not make a mistake. It's not off center, and you know, it's precise, right? And even that machine was spitting them out so fast they couldn't even keep up with, you know, gathering the framing that was coming out. But one thing that you mentioned, it kind of reminded me, shoot, I'm losing the thought, but oh, I remember. So one thing when I was first starting out and I was managing like man, I think it was over 25 projects at one time. Some of them had like 6 houses and stuff, so it was chaos every day and fires every day, right? And finally I asked our GC, I was like, how come, like, you know, we're pumping the money in, you know, to you guys. How come every project isn't just filled with an army of guys? You know, it's like, I thought you had unlimited guys, you know, you could just put an army on there. And he said, I'll never forget this. And hopefully it's a lesson for everybody is, he said, you know, I'm trying to save you money. Don't you understand? And I was like, how do you save us money when I'm giving you all of our money and I only see like a handful of guys on each project? Well, what he said is they have to balance, because if you put too many people on there, they start tripping over each other. And then you guys find a place to hide, you know, like, so there's a lot of action that looks like there's a lot going on, but it's not as efficient. Sometimes it's not any more efficient than if you had just the right number of guys, right? So when you bring technology like this to the industry, it solves a lot of those problems, right? So
absolutely,
I just wanted to say that because I learned a lesson.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the downtime and even though some people may say like, okay, well, you're taking people off of the job, it's not that. We're just using people more efficiently. You know, your tilers would have to wait weeks on hand before they actually get an opportunity to get into the house and tile. Well, if we're building the house faster, now we can have the tiler moving a little bit more faster. The house goes up a little bit more faster. Now we have roofers moving more faster, more efficiently. It might have been a situation where, you know, you might have, you know, put up drywall before, but now you don't have to do that. You can be shifted into another facet, you know, of the home building process, to be honest.
Yeah, and then there's going to be more houses because this thing can move quicker. And so there's more houses, more jobs. That's more material that needs to be purchased. So I do want to get to that. Like, let's talk about like what is going to happen if this hits a mainstream scale, right? Looking at different economics, but I want you to let's go back to the presentation. I'm on page 4, current status and deal structure. Is that where we're at?
Sure. Let's see here. So yes, but that's for checkers. So that just gives you insight
Gotcha.
as to, the relationship that we have with them. And these are pretty much our partners that we have partnered with to, show our clientele, basically show our supply chain as well. We do have internal supply chain all together, so we won't have any issues, with having to partner with or order windows or anything that comes along with that. Whereas a lot of other people are having issues with their inventory. So we've already taken a step above that to have things just specifically for us and for our bills. So that showcases that, I think, on 4 and 5. If you can scroll down to 6, where Smash, which is a nonprofit, which is 1 second. I think it's an acronym right here, and I just want to get it right.
Struggle for Miami's affordable, sustainable housing.
There you go. So, we were just on a call a couple of weeks ago, and, with that Habitat for Humanity bill, that's in an area that, in Miami, and they're actually looking to build 17 affordable homes in Miami. I'm sorry, 15 units. And they're also doing it. So it's 15 units at 1,700 square feet. And they're looking to build that in the city of Miami as a contribution. So not only are we looking to make a profit, we are also, looking at that affordable home struggle, especially in an area like Miami, where rents literally just went from 2,000 to 3,000 overnight. Like no questions asked, no anything. Just being at the last pit bull, I was talking to a guy who he was staying down Brickell, and his landlord told him, next month your rent's going to be 4,600, and I'm giving you a break because someone really wants to pay 5,400 for it. His rent right now was 3,200, so we went up like about, I think, 1,200 easily. So we need, homes in those areas that are rising dramatically, but you also want to have something as to where you can keep those people who've actually built up the community all of those years, and Smash is actually trying to contribute to that. So I'm looking forward to seeing them when we get down to Pitbull. I'll probably check them out one day prior to, and growing that relationship forward. On the next page, I think is Eden Village. They are committed to 3D printing homes within North Carolina. And they're going to be growing that out to Missouri as well. So the affordable housing crisis is something that they're looking to target as well. Something else to mention about Apiscore. So we actually 3D printed the first commercial building in Texas. And we did that for SpaceX, which is Elon's company.
I thought I read that. That's crazy. So, I'm an Elon fanboy. I'm sorry.
And just to let you guys know too. So even the rockets that go into space, like 90% of that stuff is 3D printed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Even down to, the car in the factory, all of that stuff is 3D printed. So what we're looking at is we went from the industrial to the digital to the technological era. And what we're doing now, instead of us actually going somewhere to go buy something, everyone's going to have a 3D printer in their home, the same way you have a computer in your home. Your filaments, which is actually the material that you use to, if you want to, 3D print gold, you can 3D print gold. So you just have to buy some gold filament for that. If you want to go plastic, you can go plastic. So once you get an extruder that can handle multiple things, you will be 3D printing a lot of the things that you actually would go out to buy. If you think about, I don't know how old everyone is on the phone, but the Jetsons, when they had the robot, I forgot her name, but the robot would literally just, open up her stomach and she would just print out whatever. And that's pretty much where we are. I mean, you can 3D print an organ for your body right now. There's nothing that you can't, 3D print. So that being applied to the homes and also the internal workings of the homes is going to be way more efficient for everyone down the line, in my opinion.
Jason said her name's Rosie. Thank you, Jason.
There we go, Rosie. Yeah. I was watching Darkwing Duck and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, so Justin, what trades are still necessary when you print a house? Are you still tiling by hand? Are you still running electrical by hand?
Yes, electrical will be ran by hand. Plumbing is ran by hand. Your tiling is ran by hand. However, you can design and have designs etched into the wall. Like, so I can take Corey's face and I could 3D print Corey's image on the shower if I wanted
On the shower, because we all want to watch him while we're naked in the shower. I like it. I'll be the first one to get his face in my shower.
So with 3D printing, it gives you the freedom to design and to style, and you know, it gives you architectural freedom, if you will. There's a lot of things that you can't really shape out of concrete, but when you have an actual machine artistically drawing that for you, then it's a different situation. Your precision is a lot much better. I wish I could share my. I don't know why I can't share it, but I want to show you guys a print that was done by my friends over at WASP 3D. I'm gonna email it to you right now. They actually had a print, and it was with the Christian Dior. They did a partnership with Christian Dior, and they 3D printed a pop-up shop in Dubai. And I mean, down to the actual wall, they have the actual engraving of the Dior sign in it. It's tremendous.
Which, I mean, we could do, you know, but that would be very expensive, right? To have a custom artist come in and basically if you had to have the
artist do it, it would be, it would be astronomical. But if I'm just putting it into the algorithm, then I just know exactly how much I'm going to charge you after that.
Right, yeah. Well, we got a couple of questions just before you move.
Sure.
So Martin's asking, how much does the machine cost if it can print other machines? That's a good question.
So that machine can actually print other machines. It's just actually a concrete extruder, but the machines typically run anywhere from 800 to 1.7 million, depending on your construction and your style of print. So that one is a robotic arm. So that would be anywhere from 800 to 1.2. If you were to go for your gantry style of print, where you actually have to assemble the printer on site and it prints accordingly, those range anywhere from 1.2 to 1.7. And also with that particular style of print comes with the added price of, you know, storage for that, because it's a relatively high printer. You can print up to 4 stories with that. So
it actually doesn't sound like that expensive. I mean,
not at all. It's the actual concrete that you have to order that will come into play. You know what I mean? So, but even when you pass that cost on, it's still cheaper than building traditionally, because I'm coming in at $8 a square foot.
Wow.
Dollars a square foot.
And not only am I doing it at that point, it's 60% more efficient than today's concrete. So with it being hurricane proof, waterproof, fireproof, pest resistant, there's really not that much destruction that one can do to it, especially if we're in the market of having multifamilies and renting and things of that nature. As an investor, you want to know, hey, look, how will my asset be protected? Well, for the most part, I can only foresee it as being you having to change the floors if necessary, and or the doors and windows. The walls will be sound all throughout. You just have to come in and just repaint the walls if it was a total wreck.
Wow. Okay, yeah, that's major disruption. So, okay, so there was another question here. Oh, there's some nice words from Tammy. I agree with you, Tammy. Okay, Eller's asking, how hard is it to adjust the walls after it's printed? Let's say you want to remodel the down the road. Yeah. That's a great question.
That's a good question. So what we would advise is, like, for growing families, we can partition certain walls. So that way we can do a traditional wall in certain areas if we know that we're going to build out, or we'll have communicable walls. Whereas, later on down the line, let's say if you bought a house now with a teenager that might be moving out, well, we might build his bedroom next to the garage per se, if you wanted to extend that outwards for an office, later on down the line. So yeah, we do ask people who are purchasing the homes what they would like to do, and then we would incorporate that within the build for certain walls, so we can accommodate.
So I would think too, it's kind of like just normal builds, right? Like some walls you just can't move because it's structural, right?
Right.
And then some walls maybe you can just demo through the concrete. I mean, that might take some effort, but I mean, our guys do it all the time. Sometimes, you know, it's like,
Right.
yeah. I can see that being somewhat same as what we're in anyways now, right? Some walls you just can't move, but how much square foot did you say again? $8?
Yeah, it's about roughly about $8 a square foot. If you once we get to the end of this deck right here, they'll have comparison charts. It should have on there as well. And you should also have a comparison build as to what it would be for wood frame versus CMU versus
Oh yeah, you want me to jump there now, or
we can hop around if you want, and I can answer questions as many as I can. And if I can't, I'll do you a favor by saying I can't answer you right now. And we'll do a part two. But yeah.
Okay, I'm on the comp walls.
Okay, so let's see here, because I can't see that part of your screen. Hold on. So there's okay. I'm gonna pull it up on mine. So you're all right. So you're at the there we go. So this is a perfect breakdown to give you, and Corey, we talked about time. So this right here gives you the breakdown of what the cost and the time would be for a area footage of 2,600 square foot. If one were to do just a regular masonry build and you hired a mason to come in and lay bricks, on your left-hand side, it would take you roughly about 392 hours for that person to have that job done. And it'll also cost you about $30,000 to do that. That's well, the $30,000 would be your labor. Your actual block wall cost would be 7,000 is what we're looking at, roughly 7,800. That total on your left-hand side under masonry would be about 40 grand for you to do that. And it would take you roughly about 4 weeks of building. I can do that same job for you, about 27% less in pricing, roughly about 29,000. It'll take the printer actually 40 hours to do this. And it's actually quicker than this. We just do it at a time where, it's just slow and you want everything to form. But if need be, this could be possibly sped up to about, I would say 27, 25 hours if need be. As you can see, like with the labor, we have a fixed rate versus, the fluctuation in whatever you're paying for labor at that point in time may fluctuate. So we're able to keep cost down on that end. In terms of like the quantity that you would need to cover that, the materials will run you roughly about 22,000 just to cover that wall space. And about, with the rest ladder being about 7,000, in just manual power for your costs. But we're able to cut everything in down to fractions of a time, if you will. The cost savings is literally right in front of you.
Yeah, because that's not even accounting for, like, I mean, all of us on this call have had to deal, have paid high interest, loans, right? So like that doesn't even account for the savings on that, which is like the whole time. I got a question about how's permitting gonna work with this? Have you gotten that far yet with the guys in Florida?
So permitting, so I actually had to meet with the mayor of Florida City. So I had to explain this to him. I made it as to where we can go and talk to the building department of Florida City. So I will be totally well versed there. The other cities in Florida, which is Cape Coral, Melbourne, also other states as well, they've had, and we have a committee similar like to the MPLA, but on the construction side, and it's the Additive Manufacturing Coalition. And they have gone to Congress, and I literally was just on a call day before yesterday for that. So we are doing a top-down approach where we've talked to people out at the Pentagon, talk to your top local officials, And now what we have to do is just build concepts of what it is that we want to do, because this sounds great and looks great on paper, but until guys like myself actually go in and find the funding to go and acquire properties and build, that's when it's really going to change. But we did talk to all of the right people that we needed to talk to in the areas that we are operating in, and we are making sure that we push forward that coalition. So in the areas that we're not operating in, at least we have a presence and they would know a little bit of how we would operate and what we would do. The reason why I don't think that there would be that much pushback is because we are building it the same way you would traditionally. We're just not using people for particular portions of the build. And with that being said, we're actually building past the code requirements that the ICC would require. So at that point, we're already in lockstep. It's just educating your local and municipal people on the process just from the ground up, because this is something that's new.
Yeah. And that's going to be probably the hardest part, right? I mean, the machine seems affordable. It's not, I mean, it's expensive, but like considering what it can do, like I think it's affordable. But do you also have to get a license for it? Just like
so, yeah. So you have to be certified before you can actually purchase the machine, because they would tell it to you, but you wouldn't know what to do. Fortunately enough, I've gotten all my certifications for this particular machine. Even though I'm not on the gantry side, I'm going to go get my certifications for that one as well, just so that I have both. So yeah, you can be certified in it. You don't have to have like a college degree or anything. So the entry barrier level is fairly easy to get through. It's just you learning the particulars and understanding it. I myself, while I had family members that were in the actual construction business, I myself chose not to do construction, only to end up doing it on a 3D scale. So I say that to say anybody can get into it. The actual guy, Zachary Mattheimer, he's actually runs Alquist 3D. He was actually an art major. He had no idea he would be building, nor did I. But this is the thing. And as a nerd, like I love it. It just makes it much more easier.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. This is hugely eye-opening, and you've given us so much of your time. I got one more I think slide I have of yours.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to go over that with you guys, because I think that will show the cost savings. And there was something that I wanted to point out on that.
Can you see this one? It's the wood versus CMU versus 3D printing. I love this.
Okay, hold on.
I love this.
So it's not,
page right here.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to pop up on my screen, but I'm gonna go to the one that I have. And yeah, so if it's up and everyone can see it, so yeah, of course, maybe it might be my connection. Hold on, let me see.
You know what? Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen, but it's giving me the same cost breakdown for the walls, but I can't see the wood frame one. But I just pulled it up on mine. So
I think let me stop sharing real quick. I think I was sharing the wrong one. Yeah, let me try this one more time. Sorry, guys. I want you guys to see this one. How about now?
Yep.
So you guys can see it.
So wood frame. Okay, just so you mentioned $8 a square foot. What was that for exactly?
So that was for the actual cement that will be poured out. So that was just a breakdown of what it would cost, and that was actually on the previous slide that we just showed. So it's about roughly $7.50 per square foot to print a wall.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm with Steen says let's all pitch in and get one.
What
time
you got to get the cert first, and you got to deal with the bureaucracy.
Yeah, but you know what? So on the bureaucratic side, I can work around that very well, mainly because in the areas that we're operating in, most of that work is already done. And then for me to get in, I work very well with politicians per se. I don't know why, because I'm not one, but I just speak their language for what it is that they want and what they're looking for. And typically you just need to be someone who has your own capital that can build and do something that they can stand behind. And if you can make them popular off of that, they'll stand right with you. It's as simple as that. But yeah, I have it up on the screen now. So your wood frame versus CMU block versus your 3D printed build. Okay, so we're gonna look on the left-hand side, and we could take a trip and we can read down all of the things that one would need to build a wood frame home, as you with the middle portion where you have your CMU block, and with that comes the prices and everything associated with it. But the one thing that differentiates the two from the left, from the one from the right, outside of just the price and the time, is that once you're finished and you've already had your foundation done, there's a lot less that you have to do on the right-hand side than you would on the other two. And as you can see, once we have our foundation in, our flat work goes, and from there, our walls are up, and then we're doing the rough. We're doing a rough in for your walls, your plumbing, your everything is there. You're leading right into just building the home, as opposed to waiting for certain parts of the home to be built to move on to the next step. This is for a 2,000 square foot build home. And roughly, if you were to go wood frame, you're looking at 276,000. If you went CMU, you would be looking at 291,000. If you had that home 3D printed, you'd be looking at 182,000, and I'd have that asset up and running and performing within a week, week and a half tops. That way you can keep your money, in the bank and not out on the street, not collecting.
Wow. Are you going to do any in Vegas?
Listen, I would love to partner with you and do a Vegas build. I have no qualms. I would love to come out to Vegas. We just got
an NBA team approved for Vegas and Seattle, by the way.
Wait. So that's official, the Vegas one?
Yeah. And for Seattle, man. So there's going to be a new market for short-term rentals and more construction.
Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Absolutely.
It'd be fascinating to do an experiment together and just do one somewhere.
Hey, I'd love to do it. One of my first experiments is going to be in Cape Coral. I'd love to do Vegas. That's a market that hasn't been tapped, so you and I will work on that. Obviously, Corey, we got Hawaii on smash once we get our supplier for the main island out there. And while I know land is limited, we can still print wherever we can.
I love it, man. Like, we desperately need inventory, and it's gonna take people like all of us here on the call, right, to pour our cap. I mean, it's still gonna cost money, as you can see, but it's gonna cut costs. It'll cut time. We can do this efficiently. And I understand it. Like the logistics around this is more efficient, right? Like you said, we don't have to wait for the one thing to go before the other, and then call that crew, and maybe that crew took on another job. It's like, oh crap, like gotta find someone else now. So it'll help make the process a little bit more efficient. And then, but one thing I wanted to touch on, and I know we're over time, Joe, so thank you for your.
No, go ahead, I got time.
So obviously it's more efficient, it's more cost effective. It's a no-brainer. The only other concern is, like you kind of briefly touched on, is what happens to the lack of jobs, right? The guys on the ground who would normally be doing this, like, because from my understanding, it shouldn't actually replace too many trades, right?
It won't.
Yeah. So what is your forward thoughts on that? Because I'm sure you have to deal with that with the politicians and with their.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So here's the great part about that. This is a new technology, right? And also we have other people in the space who partner with politicians, but also partner with schools. So there's going to be a 3D printing construction course that's actually offered in the University of Virginia and Virginia Tech. they're also, looking at working with local areas where we're going to be building to actually get kids into 3D printing as well. What'll happen is, like you said, in terms of some of the jobs and the people, what we'll do is we'll move a person into another aspect of the building process, or they can actually learn this new process on how to work with the machine and build a home. I just think that overall, a lot of things would be sped up, mainly because there's a lot of downtime to wait for another person to come in and do their part of the home. If I'm able to build, just theoretically, a home within, let's say, a week, then that's a quicker time where we would have your roofer, your tiler, all of your finishers, everybody coming in a lot quicker, as opposed to waiting and then, bringing them to a site and you're paying them for 6 hours, but they've only worked for 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it would be I think it would be easier mitigating the pricing as well. But overall, there's really no way to replace a human, because you're going to need human beings. They're not going to be obsolete. It's just, we're just going to be, if you think about it, paid more to do less, but be more efficient.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jason made a comment in the chat, which I agree with. It's like, do the trade guys, do they really love their jobs? I'm sure there are people who really do, but I think there's a lot of majority that really don't, that maybe they would have be more fulfilled with a different career if they had that opportunity, which is now being presented in the school system, hopefully, and getting that going.
Right.
Because we can't stop change. Change is going to happen. Disruption will happen. It's just, are you going to be on the right side of it or the wrong side of it?
Absolutely.
And that's why these calls are very important, and having people like Justin who's pioneering the way for technology like this, and we get to pick his brain and live off of his experiences, and maybe watch him stumble but pick himself up, and we're there to support him. So we're rooting for you, Just, and thank you so much for sharing. It's been an honor to serve alongside you in the NPLA as well. And I think I speak on behalf of a lot of people in the NPLA, especially Kikoa, Alex, and Leila, and the rest of our team. So thank you very much for sharing.
Sir. Thanks, man. I appreciate having you guys as my co-chairs.
Yeah. So
I'm on a call anytime you guys need me.
Yeah. And just if people wanted to kind of follow your journey, here, because I'm sure they will.
Sure.
What's the best way to follow you? Is it Instagram, LinkedIn?
Yes. Instagram, LinkedIn. Those are my 2 top sites. Anybody feel free to reach out. I'll always answer a question if you have a question pertaining to 3D printing or lending. So please feel free to reach out. I think it's Just a Realtor on Instagram, and Justin Fordham on LinkedIn.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much, Just. And thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. And we'll see you guys next week. Aloha, everybody.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Just.
Later.